In order for a man to achieve greatness, he must first conquer his own mind, ingrain a way of thinking so powerful that it naturally bends reality to his will. A great man carries a mindset ablaze with a deep sense of destiny. He knows he is meant to conquer and transcend what is thought to be possible. His work ends up as not that of a man, but of a god. His name does not fade with time. It echoes in eternity. From the earliest days of his life, Alexander the Great knew he was destined for more than any other man before him. As a young boy, he carried with him the belief in his own divinity. He saw himself as a descendant of Achilles, a demigod among men. Over time, his mother brainwashed him to believe that he was not only half related to the Trojan war hero, but he was the son of Zeus himself, the most superior of all the gods in Greek mythology. Consumed by that vision, he carried himself as a literal god in human form. After conquering Egypt, he was proclaimed pharaoh, a religious leader of a millennia-long empire, the highest status a man could get. To the Egyptians, he was no king nor a conqueror. He was a god-man, a living incarnation of their supreme deity, Amun. Alexander's belief in his own godhood fueled an ambition unlike anything the world had ever seen. Since he didn't consider himself mortal, he also refused to accept limitations that were natural for one mortal man. As a son of Zeus, he thought he was destined for more than just a big empire. He literally wanted the entire world. In just 10 years after taking the crown, he nearly took it all. From defeating the once thought to be invincible Persia, to stretching his empire to the farthest reaches of the Indus River, he conquered most of the known world at that time. He went from believing he was a descendant of the gods to solidifying his place as one of them. Most of the men who defied the limits of their times saw their works as something far greater than themselves. They tied it to something that had a higher, almost sacred meaning to them. Da Vinci didn't just paint and invent for money. He wanted to prove to the world the interconnectedness of all things, blending art with science and science with art. Julius Caesar didn't expand his conquests simply to gain power and influence. He had a deep desire to carve his name into eternity, to be remembered, studied, and admired for millennia after he was gone. The list goes on, but the point is, those men's drives were something incomparable to the motivations of ordinary people. They had a vision, a deeper mission to complete, one that extended far beyond their own existence. In ancient Greece, almost every theatrical play of that time incorporated the concept of fatum, a force that strictly dictated the course of a character's life. From the very start of the play, the protagonist was bound to an irresistible destiny, an unchangeable path constructed by the gods themselves. Those ancient plays were based on fundamental truth of reality. Every human being has their own unique destiny, a kind of inner calling one is meant to follow. Very few, however, seek to discover that calling, a step essential for everyone who wants to rise above mediocrity. All the great individuals who defied the limits of their times had to first follow their deepest inclinations and decide on their life's task. They created their own prophecy, carefully designed future storyline of their desired reality. Then, they had to strictly readjust their lives to the point where fulfilling it actually became inevitable. From the moment one redesigns his identity to fit the prophecy he created, ensuring that his thoughts, beliefs, and emotions are all aligned with that vision, he places himself in a position where there is simply no other option but to make it a reality. No man is chosen by fate for greatness. The chosen one is simply the one who chose himself, who created his own prophecy, and who convinced himself with absolute certainty that he is destined to fulfill it in the time he has to live. It was said that no man could escape the will of the Moirai, the three sisters who spun, measured, and cut the thread of destiny of every mortal being. Yet, one day, a determined man decided to rebel and create his own fate. He took a blade and etched his own path into the loom, while the sisters watched him in silence, unable to overpower his will. To achieve the impossible, one must first lose sight of everything that does not fit it. Greatness is a byproduct of being unapologetically true to one's own truth and desired reality. There is no greatness without the element of absolute obsession, the state where vision becomes the one and only reality. All the greats in history were, simply put, consumed by what they first created in their minds. When they woke up, their thoughts were already locked onto their vision, aimed at the very thing they pursued. As they moved throughout the day, they just ran with it, letting themselves become him. And when they drifted off to sleep, they always carried with them that sense of achievement. This level of obsession isn't some half-day job, clocking in, doing the work, and then resting. It's a lifestyle, a shadow that follows everywhere. When not doing the physical action, they were doing the mental action, to believe, to feel, to think, letting that destiny to drive them. Once a man enters this state, there are only two possible outcomes, either an absolute destruction or bringing it to reality. For the ordinary, the mere thought of no plan B, no safety net is paralyzing. But for the greats, that very knowledge is the fuel, the certainty that there is no other option but to become what they have envisioned. Upon reaching the shores of an unknown land, the general's soldiers hesitated. Their eyes kept drifting back to the ships that had carried them there. They thought of retreat. They thought of failure. Without hesitation, the general ordered the ships burned to ash. With no escape, they had only one choice: to conquer. And they did. Everything great that mankind has ever accomplished was first won in the mind. The world you see and the history that was once written, all the achievements, empires, and inventions of the past are nothing more than reflections of internal victories that happened long before anyone other than the visioneers saw. The mental victory is the one and only path leading to greatness. It is the ability to carry the frequency of having before it physically manifests, ensuring that there is no separation between the current state of mind and the identity of the character within prophecy. The only way to truly manifest something is to place yourself in a position where you no longer need anything else to happen. Your emotional state is a reflection of what's in the mind. When you control where you place your attention, what thoughts you entertain, and ultimately what you believe in, you control your frequency, the key factor in creating new reality. When a person can rid themselves of the need for a desired reality and simply tune into the frequency of having it, They remove the gap between who they are currently and who they are destined to be. Napoleon was born to a modest family in a small house on the island of Corsica. He had no wealth, no title, no land, no real perspective of becoming someone great. Even though his physical reality didn't reflect it in any way, in his heart, he was already an emperor. He walked like a ruler before he was one. He spoke with command before he had soldiers to follow him. And when the world finally gave him the crown, it simply confirmed what he had already decided. In the end, remember that greatness isn't something tirelessly forged by countless hours of physical work, as most think. All the greats in history understood this simple truth. Life isn't a battle, it is a game played specifically on the mental level. When you align your emotions, beliefs, and attention perfectly with the reality you desire, physical action will come naturally, like breathing or blinking. When you have to force yourself to do things, any effort in the physical world will fall short. Tune your mind into a particular frequency, and you will subconsciously be compelled to take action.